At precisely midnight, dark energies will rise, and one lucky soul from this jar will receive the eternal gift of immortality. Oh, no, wait, sorry. That's my Halloween spell. We're here for an art adventure. So g'day guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Christopher, the artist behind A Art Adventure, and today we're here to select a lucky winner for my prompt word of gift, and then to draw whatever it is that that person has chosen for me to draw. So without further ado, let's reach into the creepy Halloween worms, or at least in my mind, they're a bowl of creepy Halloween worms. Eyes are shut, I don't know what's going on. I can't even find one of them. There it is. And here we go. Let's open up this little... Oh, there's two. No, I don't know which one to choose. Okay. I will mix them around. I don't know which one. I swear. Here we go. There's one this time. Let's open up this little sumo man and see what we've got. The lucky winner is Any Gun. And she has requested that I draw something that I'm not even really sure of. And it is the Barghest Black Dog Ghost of Whitby, with the ruins of Whitby Abbey in the background. So congratulations, Any Gun, and let's go on an art adventure. It was breathtaking, a sky unlike anything Annie had ever seen. The deep velvet purples and blacks exploded with millions of glittering jewels. Each star like a carefully sewn diamond, perfectly placed. Of course, it was all thanks to this sudden blackout. No electricity to compete with the natural lights of the cosmos for the first time in years. She had almost forgotten how beautiful it was. It sparked pleasant memories of childhood camping trips from years ago. Normally, the area around Whitby Abbey would be crawling with tourists. But tonight was All Hallows Eve, or Halloween as it was more often called today. Everyone was off celebrating, throwing parties, or even trick-or-treating, a habit the local families and children seemed to have picked up from watching American TV. And of course, there was the blackout. Annie could barely even see her own hands in front of her as she took out her camera and adjusted the settings with a blind but practiced feel. She knew a long exposure shot of the Whitby Abbey with this spectacular sky would be gobbled up by future tourists and visitors. Heck, she would probably frame a print for her own home if it turned out half as good as she imagined it might. Using the dim light of her mobile phone, Annie made her way slowly across the grass hills in front of the Abbey. She'd barely walked for a minute when she realized she could see a lot better than before. Looking up, Annie audibly gasped as she saw the full moon rising behind the Abbey. Its silvery light dazzled her senses, and yet somehow it didn't seem to be affecting the beauty of the night sky at all. The stars even seemed perhaps brighter somehow. Annie remembered now that tonight was a rare blue moon, and the complex shadows it was casting across the Abbey might just transform this photograph from a fun tourist memento into a real work of art. Excited, Annie set up her tripod and positioned her camera. The moon was rising swiftly, and it was cold out here. It must have been close to midnight by now. Normally, she'd be long curled up warm at home in front of a fire, but this blackout was just too good of a chance to miss. The instant Annie began her first long exposure shot, the cold seemed to really hit her. That kind of cold that moves deep into your bones. She shivered and looked through the camera. It would give her a better view than her own eyes. The sudden howl made Annie jump. The feel of chill spread to become a bone-deep icy cold in a single heartbeat. Did that shadow just move? Her sense of panic drove her mind back again to childhood and all those ridiculous stories of the Barghest, the terrifying black dog ghost of Whitby. But those were all silly stories used to send children to bed, weren't they? Focusing again on the camera, Annie saw she only needed another minute or two. Just calm down, get the shot. You'll be home in no time, she said to herself. She scanned the viewfinder and blinked. A mist was now draping slowly across in front of the abbey. Almost glittering a bluish silver thanks to the full moon, it was simply spectacular. But this fog was moving far too quickly for a time-lapse. Annie would have to merge some photos together to get this right. She adjusted settings a final time and looked back to see the mist had spread almost right in front of her somehow. Swirling forms suddenly coalesced, and her breath caught as the random forms suddenly made sense in her mind. A word had appeared. Annie. Frozen, she felt panic surging. This was no children's story. Another shadow flickered. The howl was closer now. It broke her out of her frozen fear. Annie took off running, leaving the equipment. Get to the car, now, get out! She could hear her own blood pumping loudly in her ears as adrenaline surged. Annie sprinted as fast as she could. Annie's tripod, camera and other gear was found early the next morning by walkers, just as the sun was rising. It made for such an odd scene, the lone tripod and camera waiting patiently for their master. The morning walkers kindly turned in the gear to the police, and the newspapers even developed and printed the photos. Partly, they hoped to draw out the mystery photographer, but the local media also recognized the potential of the photographs. The haunting beauty of the pictures quickly swept the town, even winning prizes in the local art competition. And the mystery also spread. By the next Halloween, the ghostly photographer of Whitby Abbey was the newest tale to scare children to bed. Thank you all for joining me on this unusual art adventure, and congratulations again to Annie. I hope that you don't mind that I involved you in my short story here. It's the first short story I've written in years actually, but it was a lot of fun, and I'd love to hear what people thought about it. If you could let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this story, or if you would like to hear something like this in the future, or what your thoughts on this piece of art were. The reference that I used, of all things, came from a heavy metal band's album cover, and thankfully I was able to use that because I really had no idea at the start of this journey what the Barghest was, but thank you Annie for teaching me a little bit about it. I also wanted to briefly say that one of the main materials I used was the Elegant Writer Calligraphy pen, and if you can find one, it's so much fun to play with. When you mist it with water, the black ink separates into all the beautiful colours that you've seen there, and once it's dried after being wet once, it's set permanently. So you can do all sorts of cool fun effects and art projects with just that one pen and a little bit of water. Anyway, I'm finishing off this piece now, so I'll see you guys soon for another art adventure. And be sure to take care this Halloween, especially you, Annie.